Good YouTube, Quinn Wade coming to y'all with that what to expect season preview analysis. This time we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns, a team that lost Kevin Durant, lost Bradley Beal, but they also have new hope in their new guard rotation with Devin Booker and Jalen Green. They only won 36 games last year. That was a huge disappointment. Obviously, they wanted to win more. Obviously, they thought they was one of the better teams in the West. They even made some roster construction moves during the season, and that still didn't help them win enough games to even be a playing team. So that was one of the more disappointing seasons. Devin Booker, people kind of don't think about this, but he's 28 years old. He's going into the prime of his career. One of the richest basketball players just got a contract extension. They showing that they believe in him. They still want him. They think they can win with him. The man was a great offensive hub for the Suns last year. 25 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, took a high volume of shots, 18.9 field goal attempts, shot 46% from the field. You would take that. He did also play 75 games with a huge load of the burden on his hands as an offensive creator and combo guard last year. Um, he's actually about to get ready to turn 29 next month, and that's within a couple weeks. And I like Devin Booker. The man has a good fadeaway game, a good pull-up game, a good handle game. He can get to the basket and finish all different type of ways. He's a complete offensive player. You just want him to shoot the three ball a little bit better than he has been. He's about a career 35%. You would think that he would be better at that by now in his career, but he's been respectable throughout it. So I guess you just say he takes some hard ones, he takes some tough ones throughout the game. That's why his percentage may not be high when it comes to the stat in general. But he has some guys on his roster that I want to talk about right now. Coming in, Dylan Brooks coming in from the Rockets. Jalen Green, 23 years old, 6'4", great athlete, a guy that can really get hot, can hit perimeter shots from time to time, can get to the basket and finish with his explosiveness, can get to the free throw line, very bouncy. And Dylan Brooks is just a hard-nosed defender. He's going to make threes. He's going to stay out the way for the most part offensively. He's going to try to go out there and compete. He's going to try to go out there and play his role. Not the greatest player ever, but also just a good role player and a good support player. And I think they needed a guy like him, and it's good for them to have him on the roster. Grayson Allen, obviously, he looks older than he actually is, but he is a guy that can hit threes. He can get to the basket from time to time if you close out too hard. He can also keep the ball moving. He has learned that as he has been in the NBA. They also have guys like Oso Iguodala. I like him, legitimate 7-footer. A guy that has a lot of upside and a lot of versatility. We're going to see how his development goes. Shot 60% from the field last year. He needs to rebound the ball better. He needs to protect the rim better. And he just needs to be a better screen setter if he's going to make an impact on this team, even if it's in the future. Kaman Malawach, legitimate 7'2" at 19 years old, which is incredible to have a body like that because he's also 250 pounds. Nice, strong guy. We don't really know what he can be yet. He's not the greatest offensive player. He's not the quickest guy either when it comes to reading and reacting as a defender. And he also going to have to learn how to box out and go stay in the paint as much as he can to get offensive rebounds and close out offensive possessions with offensive ones or defensive ones by being where he needs to be all the time on the court. Because if you're not going to be able to score, you have to do something valuable. And at least he has the height and the size to be a guy that can go out there and at least try to lock down the paint, even if he does that in the future. I mean, the guy's only 19. We got to cut him some slack. It's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a continuous process of continuing to help him understand the game, and how he should play on both ends of the court. He hasn't played too much basketball, so that's going to be something that they're going to really have to take serious with him so they can get the most value out of him. But he is a freak body and athletic player for his age, and he has really grown and has really done his body right. Now we have to see if he can fill out his game with skills and understanding of the game, which is basketball IQ. They still have Royce O'Neal. I put him in the same conversation with Grayson Allen. You're going to want him to hit threes. You're going to want him to space the floor. You're going to want him to guard multiple positions and help out on the boards from time to time when he's out there. And I think he can do that. He showed that he's a perfect fit with the Phoenix Suns. That's why they really want to keep him, because you need shooting. Shooting is a premium, especially when you look at the fact that he's shooting 38% from three for his career. And last year with the Suns, he shot 40%. And the year before that, he shot 37. So he's a marksman. He's a sharpshooter. Those are high priorities, and they got a couple guys that can do those type of things on his roster. So I think that that's going to be fun for them. Nick Richards is another guy that I don't really know what they're going to do with him. He's 7 feet. He's so raw. He just doesn't understand how to play the game at this point in his career. He hasn't really played too much winning basketball. This was one of the first times that he got a lot of minutes, and he didn't really do too much, and he didn't really show too much. He showed that he was a little lost defensively. He didn't know what to really do sometimes offensively. But the more they simplify his game and minimize his role to just be a screen setter and a guy that can roll to the paint and finish, or just pass the ball, or just go strong, he's not going to be much other than that. I know that he can do a stop and pop from time to time. He still needs to continue to sharpen up and polish that part of his game. But, he might be a double-double one day, or it may not be for the Suns. It might be for another organization, but they look at him as a young guy that's still proving himself, as a young guy that can still grow. And his numbers wasn't terrible. It's just he has done so many things wrong, and this team is trying to find a way to win games this year and next year, not be one of the worst teams in the league at the same time. Although they should, because they're going to need some more high lottery picks to help this roster be competitive again, while Devin Booker is getting closer to his prime. And I just feel like Nick Richards, for the price that they paid for him, he might have that upside, and that's why they did it. But he is 27 years old. In 2 months, he's going to be 28. He's not as young as Phoenix Suns fan base think he is basically what I'm saying. So I'm mostly looking at it like he might fix some things here and there, but he also is a guy that's cuttable, because you can't have him, Kaman, and Mark Williams all making good money, and you only got so much time for a couple of them to make legitimate impacts on the game. Same with, like I said, also Iguodala. Like, he's a 7-footer too. Like, some of these guys aren't just not going to be playing at all. And it's a lot of teams in the NBA that want multiple bigs, and the Suns have that luxury. It's just when you have to pay them, they're all going to be going for that reason. Like, Nick Richards only getting $5 million, Mark Williams only getting $6 million, Iguodala only getting paid $1 million, and then you start realizing that it's not going to work out in the future. So it's basically like, let's try this guy, let's try this guy, and whoever fits the better, whoever plays well with Devin Booker the best, that's going to be the guy we keep. And then we're going to have a backup guy. It makes sense logic-wise, because they don't really have to rush and they have the cap space. But I'm just saying, if you're a fan of this team, all of these guys are not going to be on this roster that long, because they do have to make these decisions within a couple months and a couple years. And some of these guys are still so raw, or just not that great at the center position, that you're better off going with somebody like Kaman with the upside, because you're not really in a rush to win, because Jalen Green is still developing as a scorer, and as his body, he's still trying to put some strength and some muscle so he can finish with contact and get to the rim better and finish better, while also creating separation better. But you have a situation where you have a lot of wings and you have a lot of guards, and you just need to find a way for them to get open, but you still need them to be a threat, and a consistent threat. And I think Mark Williams might be the best guy for that. But it's mainly because he showed that he can be a double double, and the other guys haven't shown that just yet. And the fact that Mark Williams is 23 years old and he is going to turn 24 this year in December, but he showed that he can hit a mid range, he can get to the basket and finish. He can make quick decisions. He can be a decent free throw shooter. He shot 80% last year. We're going to see if he can do that again or close to it. But 15 and 10 is very impressive. That's very good productivity, and I think he's going to get even more chances and more opportunities with the Suns, and that should be exciting to see if he can be the same guy he was for Charlotte for Phoenix, just with a little bit more polish. And they're going to have to take that gamble and see if it pays off like they did. And it should. I think Mark Williams is a solid center. He's not a great rim protector, not a great defensive player. Nick Richards not either. Neither is Oso right now in his career. And Kaman may be the best defender out of all of them in the future, but not so much the case right now. And when you look at the other guys like Nigel Hayes and C.J. Huntley, Jordan Goodwin, Rasheer Flemings, Ryan Dunn, Jared Butler, and Kobe Bray, those guys, they just gonna come in and try to figure that we have to either rebound at a high level or space the floor real well or create shots from time to time by turning down threes and trying to find a way to put the ball in the basket throughout different ways with our ball handling. And they have a lot of guards that I just don't see playing, or a lot of wings I just don't see playing right now, either because they have better players or Devin Booker going to take the bulk of those minutes because he gives them the best chance of winning. Plus, he is the best player on his team, so it makes sense to have the ball in his hands a lot. Plus, Devin Booker has already played a role like this in the past before they made the move to get Chris Paul. So he understands that role. He understands how to play the game. And Jalen Green is a guy that can play off the ball from time to time. But it is always good to have somebody you can throw the ball to and trust that they can make the right decision or the right play. Jalen Green is still figuring that out, still trying to find a way to be good at that. Can't blame him, for taking a chance on him, especially because Kevin Durant, they didn't want to pay him and they didn't really win with him anyway. So it didn't make sense for them to bring him back. The problem is I just don't think Devin Booker and Jalen Green complement each other that well. We do have to see how they use them and how they integrate them together in offense. But I do feel like it's going to be fun to watch, two scorers that really want to go out there and prove themselves and show out. And I think Jalen Green is going to have another 20-point season plus this year. And it's mainly because he's going to have the chances and the opportunity to do it. They don't really have enough isolation, give the ball to this guy and create his own shot type of players. And I think that's why him and Devin Booker are going to have to make decisions on when to pass and when to score and just take some bad shots because they're going to have the ball in their hands so much, and most guys ain't going to be really confident enough to take those shots. So they're going to be the guys that's going to have to take the hit with the bailout shots. But other than that, some of these other guys, like I said, with Nigel, CJ, Isaiah Livers, or even you can say Kobe Barea or Jared Butler or Ryan Dunn and Rashard Flemings and Colin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin, they're just going to be guys that if you get the ball, shoot it. If you ain't going to shoot it, pass it quickly. If you ain't going to do that, then just get rid of it as fast as you can to Devin Booker or Jalen Green so they can try to find a way to create another shot. And you just got to move without the basketball to get open or cut or just get out in transition when them opportunities are available. And that's all that you're going to be required to do because I think that they're not going to play more than 17 minutes. And if they do, it only might be 20 to 25. And that just shows you that a lot of these guys are not going to be relied on really that much because I do see guys like Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen taking their minutes. Same with Dylan Brooks. And I think that that's fine because you still want to have a competitive roster. And I think Ryan Dunn is one of those guys, too, where we want to see him grow and, play more and be used more because he does have a good body at 6'8", and he does have a little bit of finesse and shooting touch. And he slowly was showing how good of a player he can be, and that's being a double-figure scorer. He showed that in the month of April that he can be a double figure scorer if you give him the time and the opportunity and the minutes. And I think he can replicate that this season. And that might be something that they'd be happy about because they got to find a way to get, other guys involved. And if they can, maybe they can spread the floor better. Maybe they can make things a lot easier for Devin Booker and Jalen Green from time to time. And that's how it should be. I make your job easier, you make my job easier, and then we can, go out there and attack the defense in different ways, and that can open up shots for all of the people on the court. But I just don't think they have enough ball handling guys to do that. They tried it last year with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and obviously Devin Booker. That still didn't work because they wasn't the greatest defenders, and they just didn't have great bigs. This year, they bigs are still not the most amazing, but they also have two guys that aren't great defenders in Devin Booker and Jalen Green. And like I said, their interior is still going to be a problem this year because I don't see none of their bigs being great rim protectors right now either, like I said before. And then on top of that, can they make shots consistently? I just don't think they have enough guys that can do that. So I'm expecting this team to be a team that doesn't make the play in unless injuries significantly happen, like the Fred VanVleet one or something happen to another team and they just beat up on the other teams and win enough games to be a playing team. But I really rather them be a lottery team just because they have so many holes on this roster. They have so many problems with this roster that it just makes sense for them to try to get the best talent that they can. No free agents are really running the Phoenix. They have to trade for them, and if they can't trade for them, they do have to draft them. Jordan Ott, he understands that. He knows what this roster is going to be. He's already figuring out right now what they're going to have to work on to be better with this iteration of the team. But this is going to be a bad team. This team is going to struggle. This team, they have a lot of problems, and I just feel like they're not even going to win probably 30 games. I can see them winning probably early 30s, 31, 32 games, and that's going to be the best that they can. They won 36 games with KD, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and, Nick Richards and all those guys. They don't have that type of talent this year. They have a lot of guys that's experimental. They got a lot of guys they're trying out. They got a lot of guys that they're just trying to develop, and that's why it makes more sense for them to try to go for the lottery pick than trying to go for a playoff spot because they ain't winning the championship anyway. And if they make it into the play-in, they don't really need the experience that bad because a lot of these guys are not going to be on the roster in the future anyway. They're just trying them out and developing them to see what they are and what they can be and how they are as people and how they is as workers. Once they figure that out within the next 1 to 2 years, then you're going to see them try to go all in on prime Booker, either trade them or try to find a way to win significantly with them like they did before. But they have made so many unnecessary moves that never really made sense to this day. Sometimes you even question what are they doing. And I would feel like if you're a Phoenix fan and you felt that way, I would agree with you. They have made some decisions that just never fully made sense. They was young and had a lot of upside, and then they blew up that team. Then they had veterans come in here and there and try to help the young guys. They got rid of the veterans. They got rid of the young players. Now this is probably one of their worst rosters that they have had in a long time. And that's unfortunate for the Phoenix Suns fans and the organization. But the organization put them in a situation. They just have to deal with it. And I think the best way for them to turn this thing around slowly is just trying to get as much young talent as they can, either to trade in the future or just to have so that way they can have some type of talent that can help them out in the future. It's just not going to happen this season. So I just think this team is going to be bad, and I don't really care how many games they win. They're not going to be that good in a tough Western Conference. And like I said, the only way they win 35 games this year if a lot of injuries happen and they just beating up on the teams that's not healthy. But like I said, Devin Booker can go off, Jalen Green can go off, but will they be able to do that consistently? And that's going to be another way for them to lose. If one guy is hot and the other guy is not, and they still can't stop people on top of that defensively, they're going to have a lot of games where they get embarrassed. They're going to have a lot of games when they're going to get blown out. And I think that's going to happen a lot this year. But that's just my 2 cents on it. That's just my thoughts on it. I know y'all wanted to know what I thought about the Suns. I think that this is going to be a year where Phoenix is going to say, why are we even keeping Devin Booker at this point? Well, you signed him to multiple years. You just have to figure it out year by year, off season by off season, draft by draft, and then maybe it makes more sense in the future. They did that before, and it ended up working out to a certain extent because they got to the NBA Finals. They just gonna have to probably try that method again. Other than that, comment, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell for more analysis. And if you're new to the channel, I do conversation videos just like this about various NBA only topics. I also do breakdowns, real footage of legends, current legends, rookies, and also future stars. I also do mock draft and draft covers too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. I'm gone for now. Peace, and y'all stay blessed up. And I'm gone for now.